It's not because of me. It's rare. I see a unicorn before you see that shit. It's just once in a while, two people are in love, they have courage, and they don't give a shit. But most tall women, you know, they don't want me. I don't got a problem. I see a lot of beautiful tall women. I'd be down. You know what I'm saying? I can get that on this one, man. I don't care. She don't want me though. I know I tried. Like tall woman doesn't want to go on me. She don't want me. She wanted to introduce me to her friends. Like, oh, this is my boyfriend Brian. Mwah, 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 mwah. Isn't he cute? Isn't he adorable? Isn't he sweet? Right? Mwah, 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 mwah. I know. I found him. He was lost. He got lost in the car. Remember? Remember, Silly? I took him home. I take care of him. I love him. What do you want to do, huh? What do you want to do? You want to go shopping? You want to go shopping? You want to piggyback? Jump on. Here we go. Wrap the legs around. Hold on. What baby got? Shit ain't cute. That's all I'm saying. You gotta be a nice guy. Yeah. 27 years? Oh, that's a beautiful pic. All right. As long as you guys are happy. All right, Tristan's dad's birthday. You guys are fucking sticking it out. That's good. What else? People celebrating some stuff. It's good to get out celebrating. It's your birthday. Beautiful. No. Don't embarrass me. It's all good. Put you in the tab of your shirt. You like smoke weed? I'll give you a little weed for your birthday. I don't know. People give me weed, but I'll share with you. Now you tell me it's your birthday. Oh, now it's your birthday. A minute ago, I got you on. You don't think I don't need this fucking weed? It's my birthday. You don't think I got my own shit? I'm sorry. That's all good. I must say, it's been a rough year, but one good thing, like Tristan said, they legalized marijuana while we were at home. They legalized it. I want to celebrate that because I'm one of the idiots with this fucking card that I should have never had to get. This was official at one time. This matters. The doctor wrote it. Brian needs weed. Look him up. It's fucked happened, and he's right. He's getting shit for his parents. I had friends asking me too. You know, it's like having a truck. People want you to move. You know, it's a burden. I'm happy it's over. Recreational. I don't need a reason. Thundercats and Applejacks. There you go. There's my fucking shit. Right? I want to know why. Like that. What the fuck is the difference? Does it matter? This shit's gonna be a relic. It's old. Yeah, because I miss that. Like, I mean, it's still illegal in some states though, like Florida, Texas. Like, so if we go do shows there, I can't bring it. I gotta make a friend. I gotta find weed. You know what I'm saying? Just see whose birthday it is or whatever. And try to get in the perfect group. Something. Now, and if you're looking for weed, like I've looked for weed on the road before, you know, and you don't just ask anybody. You ask somebody who you think was a good start. You know what I'm saying? A lead. Like a weed lead, like would be like a white dude with dreads, maybe probably know something like that. That's all that dude would ask, right? You just start right there, maybe. Otherwise, you false advertising, motherfucker. You don't know anything. Come on, man. What the hell is this shit? I'm good at this game, though. I got a pretty good percentage. I know how to pick them. I'm just saying, like, sir, that beard is work of art. It's killing it. Thank you for co-signing my compliment. Awesome, all right. But you're right. If I asked you for some marijuana, I'm on the road stuck, and I came to you, would it be a dead end? Or would you help me? I'll stay at 1 for 1. Thank you very much. Perfect. You mind if I ask you what you do for a living? Conductor for the railroad. Perfect. I'm never getting in a fucking train again. Smoking weed, fucking driving trains all over the place. You're going to the right stations. Jesus Christ. No, that's fucking great. Wait a second. What? Forget the weed. That's a great job. You drive. Am I getting it right? You drive a train? You tell the driver what to do. So you're not driving the shit. You're just, this guy's driving, and you're like, yo, make a left. That's how it is. That's it, man. That's fucking great. It's usually with thought you got your feet up. It's usually with my feet up. Fucking great. Straight. And then straight. We're low on gas. Slow the gas. Don't forget the gas. Hey, gas? I don't train. It's fun. There are some good jobs out there, man. Shit, I gotta find them. This is a fun job for sure. You know what I used to do for it? I used to teach. Preschool. Don't worry, it's when we were fucking kids. It's far away. It wasn't even around here. Don't worry about it, you know. It was like, I'm concerned, you know. Oh, your daughter teaches preschool? That's a beautiful thing. She must be an angel. Takes a lot of patience. What? No? She smokes weed to get through? To cope? That's what I did. You know, I didn't smoke with them. You know, I kept it to myself. I did it at home later. Responsible. You know what I'm saying? But when I was with them, like my friends asked me, first of all, like, Brian, why you teach preschool? I told them, well, first of all, I'm the tallest one in the room. There's a lot of, let's go good. It's like your world, you know what I mean? And that, and more importantly, like, why don't I teach junior high or high school? Because you gotta know shit. That's why. How about that? You gotta know real stuff. Right? You gotta know dates in history or like grammar or science or that something. Like I could bullshit a couple days, but they're gonna find out they know more than me. Like I know some stuff. I know how to color. That's what I got down. I'm confident in that department. Anything going on in this room is all good. Like, first of all, they're taking naps. They have chocolate milk. What's the hardest thing? Tie your shoes. I'm better than you. Okay? Anything of this type means I'm not gonna get stumped. You know, like once in a while they ask me a question, I would just make it up if I don't know the answer. Keep things moving. You know what I mean? Like Mr. Brian, how many planets are in the sky? You're like 46, dude. Keep it going. Let's go. What's the difference? He's 4. Will you Google it? Who gives a shit? He doesn't need to know about outer space or planets right now. Let's get your shoes on by yourself, and then we'll talk about space. You know what I mean? Like just let's put this in order. And I can do like some voices and stuff too. So like you can make them laugh. They listen. Like I can do Donald Duck real good. So I'll be like, give me 5. You know, so I'll be like, and I can talk. Be like, see? Totally a laugh thing. Some of y'all are laughing, but if you were fucking 4, you'd be lining up around all day. It's a hit. Tell me. Love it. Yeah, so I just remember I had this one kid in my class that I just won't forget. Stood out to me. First of all, his name was Princeton. Okay, parents very optimistic with the name. You know, set up a lot of expectations from the jump, unnecessarily, I felt. And he wasn't quite living up to it yet. I'm trying to tell you. He's more of a derived kind of kid. You know Princeton, this kid was just certain little things like you tell me, alright? So one day I'll never forget, he came in with these boots that were so elaborate, had buckles and laces and velcro. It took me like 5 minutes to push this kid's shoes on. Finally get him on, he looks at me, he goes, Mr. Wine, these aren't my boots. You see me put them on. Like, where are you at? Hello? You're in outer space, counting planets, come down, help me. Got other kids, need help. This kid's putting his socks on over his shoes over here. Can you help me, please? Come on, man, it's tough, right? So fine, just take a deep breath and stop, and undo all the stuff, and yank them off. It took forever to do that too. Finally, them off, he looks at me, and he says to me, Mr. White, why did you take off my boots? No, you didn't just say it, right? I know you didn't just say it. I'm like, dude, you just told me they're not your boots. They're not mine. They're my brother's. My mom makes me wear them. Are you fucking with me? Are you fucking with me? Are you fucking with me? I missed it. It was actually before the lockdown and go down and everything. I had a show at a school. It wasn't a show. It was to go read to children. It was like pro-literacy like event. I don't know people that are anti-reading, but it was for reading. And they wanted like some comics to come like read to the kids, and I missed teaching, so I went down to do it. And I get there, and it started off with, you guys had this sign on the building right when I get there, it had my name on it. That was kind of cool. It said comedian Brian Ritchie is in building D. And then below it though, it said, parents, please supervise your children at all times. And like, why do those two have to go back to back is my problem. Because it reads like, Brian's here, watch your fucking kids. Can you put the sign over there? I mean, that's separate and good, both messages, but. So I get in there and it's like, you wanna, how much time do you want to do? You're gonna do like 45 minutes to an hour performance for the children? You have a misunderstanding. You think I'm gonna do stand-up comedy for 45 minutes to an hour for ages 3 to 7? Right? That's what you think is happening right now. You out of your mind. I can relate for only too long. I got like a couple mind grab jokes. I mean, I don't know. Who's in a relationship? You guys wait, what the fuck? Like, there's very little I got one good killer kid joke. I mean, I like it anyway. I go like that, what is this? What is that? What the hell is that? I don't know, but here comes some more. That's all I know. I like it. Here's more, that's it. That's all I know. And then, you know, I'm reading, and then they want you to have the kids help you read. One little girl came up, Natalie, she starts reading. She got stuck on her words. You know, they get stuck, you gotta help them. And she was like, I said, oh, that's okay, don't worry, Natalie. That word is commitment, and a lot of adults have a problem with that word too. So don't be all good. Oh man, I miss this shit. I miss that so much. And you know, I do want to get back to traveling. That's one of the best things. Love traveling. I don't like flying. And I had an incident before all this happened too. I was flying to the East Coast, and the pilot came on and they addressed you, but he said something I never heard before. I don't want to hear it again. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, our flight from Sky Harbor today to JFK is normally 4.5 hours, but I'm going to try to get us there in 3. Which I couldn't believe. I just fucking heard that shit. I started looking around. What are you looking around? Yo, did you hear that? Did you hear? Hello, did you hear? Evel Knievel's plan to break a fucking record on a ding! Ding, 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 ding. Excuse me, didn't vote on the mission to make history today. I'm just trying to get to work. There's no carpool lane in the sky. You can't fucking hurry up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes that long. That's it. It's mad. You can't cut off a third of the flight time. You're in a hurry, bro. What are you doing? Bad shit happens when you go too fast. That's how I think. And here's what made me mad is he said it like he was doing us a favor, like he was hooking me up. He's like, I'll get us there in 3. I got you. And I'm like, man, my ride is picking me up in 4.5 fucking hours. I'm gonna sit in baggage claim for an hour and a half, dude. Stop. I'm not helping anybody. You know, the best thing was going overseas, entertaining military. They're truly the best crowds. Like, you guys are a good crowd, but they are. We have some military in here, thank you. Let me clap. And I got to go to bases, went to Spain, Portugal, Bahrain, Kosovo, Djibouti. You know what Djibouti is? Djibouti is around the corner from Djibouti. I should have did that one at the kids show. That's funny if you're a little drunk. Maybe you haven't been out in a while. Now, it's very Ethiopian, so basically Africa anyway. But I was in Germany at this Air Force base, Ramstein, and they had this card next to my telephone. It's a bomb threat phone checklist. So when I'm sleeping, this card's next to the phone, and I look at this, I'm like, oh my God, what? They want me to ask this guy questions if he calls? Fill out this card? Like, you're way overestimating my courage. I'm gonna answer the phone, hello? Yes, I planted a bomb. All right, shit, well, hold on, I gotta get a pen. I got a card. Did you place the bomb? Oh, my mother helped me. I mean, does that count? Yeah, I love this. I have an issue with the question. Okay, number 2, one word. Why? Why did you do that, huh? What's wrong with you? Like, you want me to just, like, psychoanalyze this guy? Just started talking to him. She broke up with you? I'm sorry. Why are you taking it out on me? What the fuck is the problem? Question number 3. What is your address? That's the 3rd. Why? And then what's your address? That's what you're hitting them with? Well, I was in Chandler, I moved to Gilbert. It's a little fucking chamber, nobody really knows about it. What will cause it to explode? What does it look like? Okay, here's my problem, is that those questions lead up to this one. Number 7th question on the list is when is the bomb going to explode? When? This is the 7th question. I'm no genius, but if I was with that question making me, I would raise my hand, excuse me. Not for nothing, but I think when should be the first. First and only question for me. You sit there and keep talking to you. Once I have that information, we're done. Right? When is the bomb going to explode? The bomb will explode in 10 seconds! Great, I only have 11 more questions. I'm not good at math, but I think I'm fucking great. Okay? I want to talk about this because I think some of you guys will relate and remember to this. Little nostalgia. Alright, so it actually says on here, was it a local call or a collect call? Like a collect call? Is that terrorists on a budget? It's a church of Al-Qaeda. No how. Fuck out. Like, collect call is outdated at least. Got me thinking, like, collect call, man. Some people, young people, don't even know what it is. If you're like in your 20s, they don't even know what a fucking collect call is, man. Collect call is something you make in the prison or the 80s. That was it. It was done. I don't even know. I used to use it, though. I remember I would call my mom to come pick me up at the soccer practice. From school, I used to collect calls, but we had a system, we never paid for it. We got over on AT&T, and I know I'm not the only one. You know what's up, that's what I thought. When the operator says, please say your name at the tone, we don't say your name, what the hell? Say a message and make it quick. Hurry up. Please say your name at the tone. Beep, mom, it's me coming to school. That's the call, okay? Do you accept the charges? Hell no. No, operator. I don't know who that was. Was that English? I don't know what they said. Deny, decline. No. Listen, I gotta go. I gotta pick up my son. I gotta go. Alright, last part of this. They have check up next to an adjective that describes the bomb-dickhead guy's voice. What did he sound like? These are, they put, I guess, the top 25 together. What they think it could be, Okay, start calm, he was calm, alright. Practice, maybe. Angry, yeah, he's blowing shit up. Probably did. I would imagine. Excited, yeah, it's a big day. This is a big day. There's 2 on here, though, I can't believe it. Stutter is one of the choices. Stutter is one of the choices, which there's not many things that make a terrorist call worse. Stuttering terrorist is so much worse. Why? Because time is of the essence. That's why. You got questions, a lot of them. And this dude's stuttering? Oh no. What's he saying? It's another stuttering terrorist, bro. It's a fucking third on this thing. Shit. Get a friend and make the call. The fucking Porky Pig is bombing us over here. Gonna go kaboom, bitch. In like 2 seconds. Stutter. If you have a stutter, that's all good. Just don't do that. Don't blow shit up. I mean, the last one on the list, though, I can't believe it down here. The last one. It has a nerve. It actually says familiar. Familiar? Man, is that you? That switch it up. Getting close to that time before I get out of here. Man, I can't wait to. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's one of life's great moments. You guys are out with people you love, or at least like maybe a little bit. And you're here to have a good time. That's awesome. And we miss doing this as comedians too. And also, I like meeting people after the show, so everything will be back to normal, like normal. I think in a little bit. We just gotta be a little bit more patient, but I just like meeting people after, because a lot of times I get blessings too, birthday girl. Like it's not even my birthday, but people bless me with their medicine, or now it's just recreational. And it's been nice. I had this one dude in Chicago, he's old white man with a beard, he gave me weed after the show. It was like a fucking weed Santa and shit. He gave me weed after. It was crazy because he put it in my hand with no paper or packaging or anything. Just free range weed. Isn't that weed? I just grew it in the back. I put it in my pocket. Thank you very much. The hell are you complaining? Thank you. That's it. Now I come prepared. Somebody try to do that shit again, I got this shit. Just put weed right in there. Fill that up. You gotta make things work for you, Then I got some offers that are a little different. I had this dude asked me to go get ice cream after the show, and he was by himself. This dude was just, hey, you wanna get some ice cream, man? I'm like, you don't ask another adult male to go get ice cream at 7 o'clock. Or anytime. I don't care what your sexual preference. That's just a weird offer. Like, what do you think I was gonna say? Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go get some ice cream, man. What do you do? We'll go together. Then we'll go to your white windowless van. Look for your lost puppy. 6? Nuts, bro. I was high. It was free. I got vanilla. Rainbow sprinkles. I like sprinkles. I don't know you. You gotta live life. Yeah. But then another offer similar. I'm telling you. Again, another dude by himself asked me, we had some confusion, because he comes up to me, he's like, hey man, when you're done or whatever, if you want to go sneak around back with me, I'm like, I saw that over here. He said, you want to go around back with me real quick? This is the first time I ever got that offer. Dudes in here got the around back real quick offer, I'm the new. And I was like, excuse me, you want to get some ice cream first? He's in there. Shit, real quick anyway. I was kind of flattered too, though, so I don't know. I had a lot of mixed emotions. But then I came to my, got it together, and I was like, just let him down easy. I was like, man, not for me. Thanks anyway. The speech is on, but not for me. Thanks anyway, right? You know what he did? He started looking me up and down like this. He started laughing. He's like, ha! Come on, stop. What are you doing? Come on, seriously. Dude, seriously, come on. You talking about smoking marijuana the whole time, bro. What told you this? Smoke marijuana, that ain't it, man. Where you learn your smoke signals at? Come on, this is never nowhere on planet Earth is this. Not in sign language or anything like that. This is ever going to be smoke weed. Look, put your fingers up. You know that shit. Railroad, that fucking shit. You be fucking straight. You know that, right? Up. Out. This is weed. This is dick. That's a dick. You got words. Dick fight? I would love to say hi at the show. And happy birthday to Tristan's dad and to you. Tell the lady that I want to share her weed. Now, I hope you all have a great time and enjoy Jay and the Fools. I know I will. Thanks for coming out. Please keep supporting live stand-up comedy.
Are y'all ready? I don't think that's gonna. Are y'all ready? You may recognize him from his films and all the the amazing stuff he does, but god damn it, he's a fantastic man. Give it up for the wonderful Mr. J. Mewes,
That is awesome, thank you. Fuck yes! Guys, I keep getting you like Gobi, like trying to get everyone to sing that song, and like 8 out of 10 are like, nothing more. So fucking thank you for singing with me, yes! It always makes me think like maybe I should come out to something different, like, ooh, but if I did that, I'd have to come out from the curtain on my TikTok, right? And then, like, what if I tripped and my balls fell off the tip? And Bill over here and hit this guy on his arm, and he's like, what the fuck? So I've been sticking with this song. So, guys, thank you very, very much for coming here tonight. It's so weird for me to come out with no mask. Like, it's so weird. Yeah. It's so weird how weird it's been to wear a mask everywhere, but then now, like, I just did this TV pilot and everyone got tested and we were in one location, so everyone was walking around this building with no mask, and I was like, man, this is so weird. Like, it's weird how fast I've adapted to, like, I need a mask on when I don't have it on. It's weird as fuck. So, but thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. You know, this ain't shit I planned on doing. The movies or anything like that. Kevin and I started touring with the podcast many years ago. Has anyone heard Jane Silent Bob Get Old? Have you guys ever heard Let Us Fuck? Right? So that's a game we play at the end. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you should never listen to the podcast. Kevin and I play a game called Let Us Fuck at the end, right? It's awesome because we bring 3 audience members up and we come up with positions like the Ewok cock block, you know, the Donald Duck butt fuck, and then we act it out with the audience members, man. And it's awesome because it's fun, but also people remember it. Like 8 months ago, or maybe like 12 months ago, fucking time's all over the place now. But I went to a show and some girl was in line and she's like, we fucked once. I was like, and I felt like that asshole guy who had sex with someone and couldn't remember their name or face. And then she was like, we did the pothole pounder. And I was like, wow, we did Let Us Fuck. And she remembered, like a year prior to that, we had played Let Us Fuck. She was wondering. So my point in telling you that is I don't want to steal that because it's for Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. But I want to do a game for this show, and I've been thinking, I'm having trouble. And one of them is fuck Mewes' face, right? I picked 3 audience members up. I picked 3 audience members, they come up and it's like fucking the jawbreaker, and some dude slaps his dick on my jaw, right? But it could be weird because someone would get offended by seeing penis. I might like it and be like... So, you know, I was like, all right, that game won't work. So I was like, maybe I can do a game called Anal Mewes Toss, right? And I pull my pants down. I sit here and you guys take ice cubes and throw it in my asshole. And I catch it. And if I catch it, I gotta fucking walk across the street. But if it falls out, I gotta pick it up and put it in my mouth. And that's the reaction I get. So like, we can't play that, right? So eventually I'll come up with a really good idea for a game and I'll bring it with, hopefully next, tour I come on here, I'll have a game and stuff. But like I said, Anal Mewes Toss, how far would that be? Maybe we're just gonna throw ice cubes in my ass. I'm just like, I wonder if I could catch one. You know, fuck it, let's try it. No, thanks for coming. Like I said, Kevin and I grew up in this small town. Everyone sort of knew everyone. Kevin always says he knew me as that kid, like, there's a fucking dirty boy, Jay Mewes, he threw a rock through the pharmacy window. There's Jay Mewes, that dirty boy. He fucking put peanut butter on his asshole and let a cat lick it off. That's how he knew me. Everyone knew everyone. There's the Smiths, there's the Johnsons, there's that dirty boy, Jay Mewes and shit. And I knew Kevin as the guy who did the talent shows. We were in the same high school. And he did all the sketch comedy talent shows, and he did really funny shit. He graduates, starts working at this community center in our town. Like, community centers where everyone went after school. The kids would go after school while your parents were working, and they had foosball, they had a pool table, they had board games, they give you snacks. And Kevin, anyone see Comic Book Man? Yeah! Brian Johnson and Walt Flanagan and Kevin were the three fuckers supervising the kid. Right? Which they never were, right? They were always in the corner laughing and having a good time. And one day I go up, I'm about 13 at this point. I go up to their table one day. Oh wait, sorry. I go to their table one day and I'm like, see how I jerked that off? Sorry, I keep hearing the and I don't know if it's my mouth or the cord or something. Or my mouth. I went to Kevin's table one day and I was like, yo man, what are you guys doing, man? You look like you're having a good time. And he's like, bro, we're doing man shit. I'm like, man, what's this man shit? And they're like, we're reading comic books. And I was like, oh shit, I want to be part of this man shit. And they're like, get out of here, kid, you're bothering us. I'm like, come on, man, I want to know what this is about. And so I would leave them alone. They gave me like fucking 10 old comics they didn't want and shit, right? And I went home and I read them and I fell in love. Right there, I should have known I was going to be fucking addicted to shit. And I think the personality kicked in. And because I read them the next day, I was like, yo, man, read a couple more comics and shit. And they're like, no, bro. I was like, come on, man, I'll suck your dad. And they're like, first taste is free, motherfucker, right? And they're like, look, we'll give you some more comics if you beat us in foosball. And I was like, all right. So we bet, right? We bet. And Kel's pretty decent. They were pretty decent. And they said, look, if you win in foosball, we'll give you 20 comic books. But if you lose, you have to wear that shirt for a fucking week straight. Now, the shirt they were talking about, I grew up with my grandma and shit. My mom was a heroin addict, and she'd get strung out, and I lived with my grandma, and she'd get better, and I'd go live with her, and then I'd go live with my grandma. Point is, my grandma, you know, she was older, she didn't work or anything, and she had no style. She'd go to Kmart, Bradley's, and get me a shirts like Sports Hound. They had a fucking dog with a hockey stick and a fucking tennis racket and a football and shit. And you know, I had cut off sleeves and shit. This is the shirt that I had to wear if I lost. And I lost, so I had to wear this shit for a fucking few days. A few days passed, and I'm like, come on, man, double or nothing, dude. I really want some comics. And they're like, all right, if you lose, you gotta wear that shirt for another week. And you also have to wear your crime fighters on the outside of your pants. You know, the crime fighters with the fucking tiny whites. And so we start playing. They're like, when you win, you get 40 comics. So we play. I lose again and shit. So I go in the fucking bathroom and shit, and I fucking throw my crime fighters on and shit. Right there, I should have known something was up after this situation, right? I come out, they're giggling for a minute, and 5 seconds go by, and they're like, bro, go take that shit off, and shit, here's the comics. And it's because I don't care, guys, right now. I should have known that if you wear white underpants, I don't care if you have a bidet, baby wipes. At the end of the day, no matter what, you're gonna have shit streaks in the fucking underpants. Right? So I came out with this fucking brown streak in my underpants, and I was like, don't it on. And they're like, bro, take that shit off, right? It's funny when I've told that before at this other show, and this girl starts laughing, and you know, she starts snorting. She was a snorter, and she started laughing because she started pointing at her husband and shit. She's like, this motherfucker, he still wears tiny whities, motherfucker. And I was like, yeah. But right there, I fucking went home. I was like, grandma, start buying me boxers, man, that are dark, blue, maroon, black, doesn't matter, right? So they gave me the comic books, but I tell you, this is the first interaction with Walt, Brian, Kevin, and stuff. And Kevin didn't really like me in the beginning and shit, because Walt and Brian started getting to know me a little bit, because each day I'd come in, I'd start being goofy and silly and stuff like that. And they'd be like, man, you gotta get to know this Mewes kid, dude, he's pretty funny. And Kevin's like, he's not funny, I'm funny and shit, right? And I'm like, no, dude, he's funny, he says weird shit like snoochie boochies and stuff, right? And so I'm starting to get, like, I started wanting to hang out with them and stuff, and I fell in love with comics. They get comics every week at the comic book store, and one week they were going to this comic book show in New York. It was every 4 months in this basement and shit in New York. It was like an hour and 20-minute ride. And so they used to go every 4 months. And I had never been to a convention. I was like, oh man, let me go, dude, let me go. And Brian liked me, and Brian's like, bro, you can totally go. And so he tells Kevin's supposed to drive up there. He usually drives to New York because he was used to driving to New York and stuff. You gotta go on the turnpike and everything. And so he's like, yo, I invited Mewes to go, dude. He's gonna come. And Kevin's like, I'm not bringing a minor over a state line. And he's like, come on, dude, I already invited him. He's excited and shit. And he's like, fuck that, dude, I ain't doing it. And so then Kevin was even more pissed off because then Brian was like, then I'll drive, right? And he's like, fuck you. So Brian's like, I'll meet you guys at the community center. So we're at the community center waiting, and Brian pulls up and shit. Kevin did like me even less because when Brian pulls up, I'm like, shotgun! And I park him out in the front seat, right? So if Kevin wasn't driving, which he usually was, he would sit in the front seat for some reason. And then I took that shit. I was like, shotgun. And the whole way up, I'm goofing off and shit. You know, the fucking truckers got those great fucking horns and shit, the 18-wheelers. And I'm out the window like, trying to get him to honk their horn and shit. I'm singing out the window of my asshole. Brian and Walt's laughing, and Kev's in the back like, he's not fucking funny. Right? And we get there and shit. I'm so excited because I was collecting this series, Vigilante. It was these 50 issues of this comic book called Vigilante. And I needed like 8 more issues, man. I've been looking for them and shit. And I was like, man, I hope they have these comics, these 8 issues I need. And they're like, dude, they'll definitely have it. This is what's cool about conventions, man, is all these vendors come and they bring all their back issues and shit. So they're like, listen, definitely go to Cha-Ching or Balachi. So it's funny, even though they went every 4 months and knew the vendors and stuff, they could never remember anyone's names. So they had nicknames for everyone. So they called this one dude Balachi because he had red blotches on his elbows, on his neck and shit, on his knees and stuff like that, right? And the other dude they called Cha-Ching because he had one of those old school change belts with the quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. So they're like, go to one of their booths and I bet they'll have it. So we get there, I run over to Cha-Ching's booth and I look through the back issues and he has all 8 issues, man. I'm super stoked. I run back, I'm like, bro, he's got all of them, man. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, but here's the downside. I only got $20 and all the sticker prices is like $40. So like, dude, that's the other great thing, man, is that they'll barter, right? They'll make deals here. I was like, well, what do I do and shit? And they're like, look, just put the money, put the comics on the table, slap your money on the table and say, take it or leave it. And this is where Kevin said he started warming up to me a little bit. Because I was like, all right, cool, I'll put the comics on the table, I slapped the 20 down and say, take it or leave it. And I was like, yeah, but what if he says leave it? And then Kevin said, well, then you go under the table and you open your mouth, right? And he thought I was gonna be like, dude, fuck that shit, I ain't gonna do it. But instead I was like, fuck yeah, bro. And then I start sucking that shit, right? He's going to town, he's like, cha-ching, 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 slapping change on my head and shit like that. I was like, then Blotchy comes over with this big blotchy penis. He starts slapping it on my cheeks and stuff. And then we went on this whole story about how I got these comics and all these vendors started coming over and shit and partaking in my thing. People started giving me free comics because I was like, starting to see it and shit, right? So Kevin said that's where it warmed up to me and shit. We drive home and even though, like I said, we live in this small town, I lived a block from Kevin for years, but I didn't realize it because I never had been to his house or anything. But we dropped Kevin off first, and then I go home, he drops me off. And you know, a couple months pass and shit, and Kevin stops working at the community center and starts working at the Quick Stop, where clerks were shop, right? Yes! And so he's working there, but I don't know, these guys are appealing to me because, again, me and my friends would do fun shit. My friends were, anywhere from like 13, 14, 15 years old. We go to the woods, we fix our bicycles. My one buddy had a go-kart, we fucking ride that shit up the back roads and stuff. We built forts, shoot BB guns, fucking put up rope swings. But Walt, Brian, Kevin would talk about comic books, movies, directors, writers, inkers, and all that shit. But they also talked about girls. Me and my friends never went on dates or had any girls and shit. We'd all just hang out in the woods with each other and play games and play with Star Wars figures and shit, right? So I always wanted to hang out. So I went to Kevin's house one day, I knocked on the door, he comes out, he's like, yo, what's up, man? And so it's funny, because his mom didn't know I heard, but she used to call him Tiger. I I knock on the door and his mom's like, hey, what's up? I was like, is Kevin here? And she goes in the back, she goes, hey, Tiger, that dirty boy Jason Mewes is here, right? And he's like, what, for me? He's like, yeah. So he comes out, he's like, what's up, bro? I'm like, yo, what are we doing today? He's like, what do you mean, bro? We're not friends. Like, you're friends with Brian Wall, but we're not friends with Brian, yeah? I was like, well, what are we doing today, right? And he's like, dude, I got shit to do, man. I was like, all right. So a couple weeks go by, I come by, I try again. And like a month, 3 weeks go by, I try again. I go knock on his door, he comes to the door. I'm like, what are we doing today? He's like, look, bro, and it's a Saturday. I'll never forget, it's Saturday. I was like, man, what are we gonna do today? And he's like, bro, what did I tell you? He's like, listen, you know what? We'll hang out tomorrow. I can't hang out tonight. I was like, okay, why not? He's like, man, I'm going out with this girl tonight. I was like, oh yeah, bro, we be sucking on their titties and playing with that pussy. And he said, bro, have you even seen a naked girl? I'm like, no, but you're gonna be playing with them titties and stuff. He's like, calm down, bro, calm down. I was like, whoa. He's like, listen, we'll hang out tomorrow. And I was like, all right, man, fuck yes. He's like, I'll pick you up at 5 o'clock. I was like, I'll be ready. Sunday, my Sunday best at 5 o'clock p.m. He's like, no, bro, 5 o'clock a.m. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? He's like, yeah, dude, you're gonna come to the quick stop with me. You're gonna help me put the newspapers together. So there's a Sunday newspaper in Jersey, and it's this big Asbury Park Press. There's like all these different bundles. There's like a bundle of real estate and coupons and fucking the movie section and all these different things, right? And you had to put them all together and make this big Sunday paper and shit. And he used to have it done by like 6 a.m. when the store opened. And it was a pain in the ass, so he asked me to come help, bless you. And so he's like, listen, man, you're gonna come help me with the newspapers tomorrow morning at the store. I'll give you $5 and you get free snacks. I was like, I'm done, I'm in, man. So he picks me up and we go to the store and I help him with the papers, and this is where him and I start to get to know each other and stuff. You know, we do the papers, and afterwards he gives me my $5, we have some snacks, and we watch Silver Spoons and Degrassi, right? He introduced me to Degrassi. And I fell in love with Degrassi and shit, and it was so much fun, and I helped him the next week, and the next week, and then finally he's like, yo, bro, Walt and Brian were right, you know, they always said you were funny and weird, had this weird sense of humor and shit. He's like, but I get it now. He's like, man, but I wonder if other people find you funny. Like, I wonder if people in Arizona will find you funny. Right? Yes! Or is it just Jersey funny? Like, and he's like, so would you put you in a movie? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. Because again, back then, no one really talked about doing movies, TV shows, and it's different than now, right? Like now someone's like, hey, dude, I'm doing this show. And I believe them because there's Kickstarter, there's you can use a 7D, a GoPro, a fucking iPhone, you get Kickstarter, YouTube, fucking Twitch, you know, there's all sorts of different ways to do things. Back then it was like the VHS shoulder cam, right? Remember those big motherfuckers with the big, I remember like maybe one person, my friend's uncle had one. It was like, Uncle Bob's coming over with the fucking camera for Thanksgiving. And it was like all huge and shit. So like, when he's like, so much for your movie, I was like, yeah, whatever. And then like a couple weeks go by, I help him again. And he's like, bro, I've been writing this script, you know. He's like, I thought about it, I'm gonna put you in a movie. And I'm like, yeah, sure, bless you. And he's like, dude, here's the script, I'm finished, and I wrote a part for you. He gives me the script. He's like, tell me what you think next week. So I go home, I start to read it. I get like 5 pages in and shit, and I'm like, there's no pictures of this. Fuck, this ain't a comic book. So I put it down, I try to read it. Next week comes up, he's like, did you finish it? What do you think? I'm like, I'm almost done. Really, I wasn't. And he's like, well, I want to hurry up, man. I want to know what you think and shit. And then so the next week comes up, and I'm like, I'm almost done. And finally, after about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I finally finish it. I come and help him. He picks me up. I go help him at the quick stop. We're doing the papers. He's like, what do you think, bro? I'm like, it's awesome, man. It's really funny, but there's some big words in that motherfucker, right? And he's like, yeah, I know, but it's good, right? I was like, yeah. And he said, well, what do you think about your character? I was like, yeah, bro, I want to talk about the character you wrote for me, man. I don't know if I can do it. He's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know, like the character, why does he say shit like Stoochie Boochies? He's like, I don't know, motherfucker, why do you say Stoochie Boochies? And it was weird, I realized like as we started talking about it, it was weird for me to read myself on paper because when I would do weird shit, I realized like, I would do it for my own entertainment, right? Like if I came in here, my balls out right now, I know this dude's gonna be pissed, he's gonna love it, or he's not gonna give a shit, but whatever he thinks doesn't matter, because my balls are out and I find it funny. And that's the way I used to do shit. Like Kevin gave a great example. He said one day him walking by, it was at 2 o'clock. Kids didn't get to the community center until about 3, right? And it's all quiet, and they're in the library, they're bagging and boarding all their new comics and shit. And all of a sudden, they know it's quiet for like another hour before everyone gets out of school. But I had no school that day, and I came in, I kicked the door, and I came in the library. I took the phone, I was like, I saw a pencil, I was like, a fucking pencil, flagpole, fucking anything I could grab, I was sucking off and shit, right? And all of a sudden I get to the Astros machine, I see it, I was like, do you know Astros is the ball? And I'm like, and he said, not once did I look at him going like, are they watching? Are they watching? I just was running around and I fucking left. And I remember I would do shit like that. I'd get really bored and be like, I'm gonna go suck some shit off, right? I'm gonna go entertain myself. But Kevin explained that and it made me like, from an outside perspective, be like, oh, I get it. Like, he's like, you never looked once at us to be like, hey, are they watching? Do they think it's funny? Because I just was bored and I ran and did shit and I ran out and slammed the door behind me, right? So when I read myself on paper, I was like, this is so weird to hear and see the characters say Snoochie Boochies, I'll fuck anything that moves and like different weird shit, right? So I read it and shit and we start shooting. He said, you gotta start memorizing. And I was like, all right, I guess. We start shooting, man. I was so nervous. I remember so nervous the first day of shooting. I was like, if you go back and watch Clerks, right, the scene where I'm like, Olaf, sing Berserker, girls think sexy, right? And I'm singing to Olaf to Berserker, and he's like, good. And I'm like, come on, my cousin is from Russia, and he's in a band. And we're going back and forth. It cuts to him, it cuts to us, cuts back to him, and it cuts to us, and it's supposed to be me saying something like, oh, this my Olaf sing metal, the girls think sexy. But it cuts to our feet, right? If you watch, next time you watch Clerks, you'll see our feet. And I remember like a year after the movie came out, and we saw it, I'm like, yeah, man, like when the Olaf scene, did you think that was creative? Was that a creative choice? Like, you cut to our feet and shit, the insert? He's like, no, bro, when I was editing, I was looking all over. Because remember back then, too, it was filmed, so we do like 3 takes, maybe 4. So there wasn't a lot of options. He said, but I looked at all 3, 4 options and shit, all 3 or 4, you were like, Olaf, sing Berserker. Because I was so nervous, man. It was fucking crazy. Like, I would do all these things, but now all of a sudden there's a camera on me, and it was like, say this, do this, be funny and shit. And I was like, Olaf, sing Berserker. So he had to use this insert. So, you know, luckily I fucking found my friend Blackberry Brandy and shit and fucking blunts, and I started smoking and drinking so much that some days there's twice I got too drunk and he sent me home. You know, Bob wasn't supposed to talk in Clerks, but at the end when he's like, hey, my grandmother always said there was a million or something, whatever he says at the end, right? To Dante and shit. Kevin wasn't supposed to say that, that was my line. But when I came in, I was like, no, smoking a weed, pack a raps, my good man, time to kick back, drink some beers, and smoke some weed. But I was so drunk, I was like, pack a raps. I really was slurring and fucking, I couldn't remember shit. We tried literally like 5, 6 takes. He's like, bro, I can't burn film, like it's too expensive. And he sent me home and he took that spot and said that dialogue and shit. So we finally get through the movie and you know, and I had no idea. It's like I went back to work, I was roofing. I put roofs on houses. I remember, man, at that age, like at 17, I thought like, man, I want to own my own roofing business because I remember I was roofing with these guys and I thought, we went to my boss's house, right? Because we had to go pick some materials up and shit. And he had this really nice house in Rumson. Rumson is like this nice area in New Jersey by where we live. It's like where Bruce Springsteen lives, Geraldo Rivera, like, you know, there's like 10 bedroom houses on the water type homes, right? So we go to this guy's house. He's got like a nice big 5-bedroom house, a fucking brand new Mercedes and shit. He's got a wife that's like 20 years younger than him. And I'm like, I want to own my own roofing business. And I did. That's what I thought. I was like, look at this, man. I don't know what. So at that point, I went to my roofing business, and I was roofing. So I was roofing, and Kevin left. I had no idea that he was going to edit the movie and bring it to Sundance, and Miramax picks it up and buys that. And then we go and shoot Mallrats. I get to meet Stan Lee. I get to work with Shannon Doherty. Then I get to do Chasing Amy, and I work with Ben Affleck. And in Dogma, Alan Rickman, man. It was fucking so surreal. Thank you. You know, I because all this, again, I didn't plan on doing podcasts. I didn't plan on doing amusing stories or movies or anything. And it's so surreal. I remember when I first started doing the amusing stories, I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know if I should do it. And she's like, well, what do you mean? You do it all the time. We get old. I'm like, yeah, but it's me and Kevin, and it's under Jay and Silent Bob. I was like, but me going out, I was like, what if I get there and there's like 5 people in the front row, and I'm like, Stuart's still a fucking dude, you know? I was like, what if no one shows up and shit? She's like, let's just try it, shit. So guys, honestly, I really, really appreciate every fucking single one of you. So real, I appreciate it, man, thank you. Speaking of cameras, man, I remember the first camera that came out, like the VHS I was talking about, right? One of the first cameras I remember back in the day my friend got, man, that came out. It was a Panasonic camera, right? He got it for his birthday, and it took cassette tapes, right? And you put the cassette tape in and you record it and shit. And remember these old school TVs, you record and when you play it back, you put in the red, white, and yellow and shit, right? But it was small and it was affordable. My buddy gets one, I'm like, fuck yeah, bro, let's go film stuff. This is one of my buddies that's my age and shit that I grew up with. And so we fucking go around, we go to the woods and my buddies are all there and we're fucking doing, like I said, we're shooting BB guns and we're building our fort and hanging out and shit. And I was like, let's film something. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. What are we gonna film? I was like, I don't know. And then I had this idea. I don't know why then I thought it was funny. Now it's pretty gross and disturbing, but I was like, put the camera on. And I start climbing this tree. And he's like, oh, bro, what are you gonna jump out of the tree and do a stunt or something? Like a backflip, you're gonna hurt yourself. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna jump out of the tree. I'm gonna dump out of the tree. For some reason, at that point, it would be funny to dump out of the tree. So gross. But we're laughing, and I'm starting to laugh, and he's laughing, and as I'm laughing, because I'm going to the bathroom, I start pissing all over the place, and I piss on myself, and we're laughing harder because of that, right? And we jumped down, and I was like, that was great. Let's film something else. And he's like, I don't know, but I can't wait to watch it. And we're walking home, and we stop at Cumberland Farms, man. I was obsessed with these things. They're called firecrackers. I don't know if anyone's seen them. They're like hot dogs inside of a bag of juice and shit. I used to eat like 3 of them a day, right? So I buy 2 of them. We're walking home, and I eat one, and then I go to open the second one. I'm like, oh shit. Put the camera on. And I give it to my other buddy. I go, put it in your zipper. And he puts it in the zipper, like, he has it hanging out, I get down, I'm like, I go to fucking town, right? And we're laughing and shit. I'm like, this is awesome. And we go, let's go watch it. My buddy's parents are at work, right? So we go to his house, we plug in the red, white, and yellow, we start watching it, and we're cracking up and shit, and it's so silly and goofy, but it looks somewhat real, right? Because the quality's not great, it's a cassette tape, and it's the red, white, and yellow, so because the quality's not great, it looks sort of realistic, me being like, going to town, I'm playing with fake balls and everything, right? And we're laughing, and then we're done, I'm like, all right, bro, erase that shit, man, that shit was great. He's like, we'll think of something better tomorrow and shit. So I leave and shit, I gotta go home, I go to my grandma's and eat dinner and shit. A couple months pass by, right? It's Christmas, right? And like I said, I love my grandma. I love my grandma to death. But she would, again, not very, like, she wouldn't know what to get me. So she'd go to Bradley's, Kmart, get me a package of, like, fucking knee-high socks and a pair of tighty whities, boxers, whatever. And like maybe a fucking a hoodie or something with a fucking wolf on it that said like Howl at the Moon and shit. So I would always wake up Christmas, open up my gifts, love spending time with my grandma, and I'd be like, thank you, Grandma. But I'd always go to my buddy's house. I'd be like, I'm going to my buddy's. And I'd go there because he had 2 brothers. And no lie, all 3 of them would get almost everything every year that they asked for in their Christmas list, right? And I knew that year we were all about Star Wars and all about G.I. Joe, right? So I knew they asked for a bunch of fun stuff. So I run over there. I fucking knock on the door. They're like, come in. I come in. My buddy's filming his 2 brothers opening up the G.I. Joe headquarters, the fucking Star Wars Death Star, the fucking G.I. Joe hovercraft, and all that shit. And then he's filming his parents like exchanging robes and slippers and fucking perfume and shit, right? And then his mom's like, hey, give your middle brother the camera and shit. And he gives it to him, starts filming my buddy. And she's like, go in the closet. And he goes in the closet and he pulls out this huge box. and he starts opening it up, and it's the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, right? If you guys don't know what that is, I'm like, what is that? It's like this fucking... As a kid, it was like the best play set you could get. It was like 6 feet long. You could sleep in this motherfucker. So we're like, holy shit, yes! Let's go put it together. And we dragged the big box up to his bedroom upstairs, and we started unpacking it, and we're putting stickers on it and shit. And he's like, I'll be right back. Now here's the other reason I love going to his house, because my grandma never would buy snacks or soda. She would maybe have a bag of chips, and she would buy Lipton iced tea. You know the cans of Lipton iced tea? You big fucking scoops of that fucking sugar, right? Never soda. My buddy's parents would always have 2-liter bottles of Coke and all those boxes of, you know, you go to Target, Walmart, it's like oatmeal cream pies, ding dongs, fucking the Christmas trees, right, with the white fucking cream inside, zebra cakes, all that good shit, right? The fridge would be packed with these snacks and sodas. So I'm like, oh fuck, he's like, I'm gonna go get some snacks. I'm like, fuck yeah, bro, grab me 2 zebra cakes and a ding dong, fuck yes, and a big tall glass of Coke. I'd be excited because I didn't have this shit at home, right? And he goes downstairs and I'm putting stickers on the fucking aircraft carrier, and he comes back upstairs. I'm like, he's like, oh fuck, bro. I'm like, what? What's it, no more ding dongs, bro? It's cool, just give me 3 zebra cakes. He's like, it's not that, dude, it's not that. I was like, what? Don't tell me there's no soda, dude. I'm looking forward to that shit. He's like, it's not that, it's the tape. I'm like, oh, your parents are watching them, you know, exchange robes, and your big goofy face opening up this motherfucker, right? He's like, no, dude, the tape, the other tape. I'm like, no, bro, not the fucking tape. I told you at a race 2 months ago, bro. Not that tape, right? He's like, I couldn't figure it out, dude, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, fuck, man, I'm gonna be banned from here. I'm never gonna have a zebra cake again, you motherfucker. I'm never gonna have Coca-Cola again. Will you fucking fuck me? I'm gonna what do you do? He's like, I don't know, man. I was like, I don't want to face him. I don't think they're gonna ban me. I don't want to face him. I don't look your mother in the face. She said, listen, how about this, man? We'll run downstairs. We'll run out the front door. We'll be like, we're going to the park, and we'll run. You come back in, be like, oh, I forgot the football, you know? And then you can feel it out. Be like, oh, did you watch the tape or something? Feel it out. If they don't say anything, you can wave me in, and we'll finish putting this sweet motherfucker back together. If they do say something, fucking tell me to run, bro. I'm running. So we were fucking, I'm like, all right, deal. We run downstairs, they're doing something, and shit, we would have went right by and didn't even have to face them, not even look at them in the face. And we get to the door, but you had to take your shoes off at this motherfucker's house. So I had to stop and try to put my shoes on and shit, which got their attention. And they turned around and like, whoa, where you going, boys? His mom's like, where you going? And he's like, Mom, we're gonna go to the park, and we'll be back in a little bit. And she's like, yeah, but we got Christmas dinner, don't forget. He said, we won't, we'll just be a little bit. And she's like, okay, but before you leave, give me a hug. And he's like, all right, come on. I was like, oh fuck. And she comes over and gives him a hug, gives him a kiss. She's like, Merry Christmas. She's like, come on, Jay, you too. And she gives me a hug, and in my ear she goes, I thought you'd suck better than that. She knows. My face, you know, when your face heats up, man, you can feel it. And I was speechless. I was like, Merry Christmas. And I run outside, he comes outside, I'm like, bro, she fucking knows, dude, what are you gonna do? I was like, and he's like, well, listen, man, we'll just go for that. We'll go to the park for a little bit, we'll come back, and we'll see what happens. I was like, fuck that, I can't face her. And I fucking run home and shit, and I'm like, I'll go be playing with my underpants and shit. I go home, put my tighty whities and new socks on and shit, and I'm like, fuck, I'm never gonna get to play with the fucking hover fucking aircraft carrier. I'm never having another zebra cake, man. And then I get a phone call, bling, bling. You know, my grandma used to keep the phone over the kitchen counter, and it was the old rotary phone, right? So I pick it up, I'm like, hello? He's like, it's me, bro, it's me. I'm like, bro, please tell me that your parents don't want to talk to my grandma, and she'll literally have a heart attack. But they're not going to tell, right? He's like, no, listen. They saw the tape. I'm like, well, I fucking figured that, man. I think, fucking, I know, maybe I'll see you later. He's like, no, listen. I'm like, what? He's like, they saw the tape. They said it's disgusting and disturbing, but boys will be boys. Come back over. I was like, fuck yeah! That's a true story. It was so awkward and awesome, though. His parents were awesome, man. Honestly, this dude I had known since I was 5 years old. We went to kindergarten together. We still talk. I'm 46 now, so 2 years almost, we've been friends, and even when we don't see each other or like talk, because he lives in Texas, I'm in California. We've called each other on our birthdays every year. But his parents are great. They let me live with them. At one point, my grandma got too old. So anyway, they're great people, but it really happened. So embarrassing. So, like I said, for a while, I was doing a bunch of fucking traveling. I was going to, Comic-Cons, and then Kevin and I were doing Jane Silent Bob Get Old. And then I was doing the Amusing Stories. I mean, we were traveling. Before the pandemic, we were traveling a shitload, right? So much so that I started getting into this routine and obsessed, started getting obsessed with massages, right? But cheap massages, right? Because think about it, you're on an airplane for fucking 4 or 5 hours, then you get out, I'd be in a rental car for an hour and shit, and then I'm sleeping on a hotel bed, and I wake up the next day and I'm in a car for 3 hours to drive to another city to do more shit. Point is, I'm old and shit, and I'd get home and I'd be like, oh fuck. And so I started going to this place, like $25 for like 45 minutes, No big thing and shit. So I would go to the same place every time. So much so that it was like a routine. My wife and I'd get home from the Uber, I'd get out of the car, I'd come in, I'd like, I miss you, man. And then give her a kiss, and then I'd be like, I'm gonna go. She's like, I know, go get your massage, I'll see you when you get back. And so I'd go to the same place every time. So I get home from this one trip, and I go get this massage, and they're closed. I'm like, oh fuck, what the fuck? My routine's fucked. And then I'm like, wait a sec, there's literally, in LA on this one street, Highland, there's literally 3 massage places on all 3 corners. So I'm like, wait a sec, there's 2 other massage places, let me go check them out. So I go to the one place across the street, and I open the door, and there's a little woman behind the counter, and I'm like, hey, do you have any massages available? She's like, yeah, but do you mind if it's a man? And I'm like, no, I love the cock. She just stares at me, and I forgot, like, shit, now everyone knows the movies do that. And I was like, oh, it's fine, no, I'm like, no, that's fine, that's cool. And she's like, yeah, sorry, come on. And so, I go, they bring me in the back, and usually what I do is, I usually get into my boxers, and then I lay on the table and shit. So I get into my boxers, and I lay on the table, and I'm sitting there, I'm starting to get excited about my massage. They always play that music, like, so I now, shit, and my boxers hanging out on the table. And then I hear the dude walk in, right? He puts the bucket on the ground, and he has a washcloth, and he starts wiping my back down and my arms and shit and my leg. And he gets to the other side and wipes my legs and my arms and back and stuff. And then there's a pause. And the magicians, when they try to take the tablecloths and the champagne glasses, right? This motherfucker whips off my underpants. I'm like, wow! And I'm like, wait, why did he do that? And then I'm like, how did he do that? I was like laying on these underpants, and somehow he got them off. One fucking swoop, he took them off my fucking body. And I'm butt naked. I'm like, oh my god, why did he do that? Holy shit. And then he takes the washcloth and he starts rubbing on my butt cheeks. And I'm like, alright, I get it. Maybe he wanted to wipe me down totally, but he didn't want to get my boxers wet. That makes sense. At the time, it made sense. So I start relaxing again. I'm zoning out and shit. He's wiping my butt cheeks and shit with the washcloth. He goes around the other side and he starts wiping. But then all of a sudden, as he's wiping, it's like push, right? And now I don't call it swamp ass. There's swamp ass. But I call it shift anus. When your ass is just sweaty and you walk and you can feel your ass cheeks slipping together, right? The ass cheeks just slip together and it's slimy. I feel it right now, matter of fact. And I call it shift anus, right? And when you get home, you take your clothes off and you sit down on the bed or couch. And when you sit down, it's like, whoo. And you can smell it. It's balls and ass, right? Pussy and ass, balls and ass, roof. Alright? So I'm thinking, oh fuck, every time this dude pushes down, it's like ass, balls. And I start getting uncomfortable thinking he's gonna be like, oh motherfucker, you dirty, right? And then I'm like, oh. And I'm overthinking it, man. He doesn't know and shit. And all of a sudden, fucking whack in the crack of my ass and shit. I'm like, he knows. But then the weirdest thing happens. I'm like, he knows. He knows. I ain't gonna lie, man. It felt good, right? Just a little fucking washcloth on my back. He knows. He knows. So I start relaxing and shit, and he puts the washcloth down, and he starts massaging my hands. He comes up to my head first, and he's rubbing my head, my hands, my arms, and shit. And he starts doing my fucking back and rubbing my cheeks and legs, all the normal shit. He gets to my feet. He's rubbing my feet, and then all of a sudden he fucking whips open my legs, man. I'm like, Sugadoo! Right away, my asshole's like, Fugadoo! And it's so weird, because automatically, for some reason, my eyes get tighter, my asshole at the same time. It almost felt like, you know, when you rub your belly, it's like my ass and fucking eyeballs at the same time, like, so I'm like, what the fuck's he gonna do? Like, I'm just exposed like this, and my ass is sitting there, and I feel him climb up on the table, right? And I'm like, oh no, what's he gonna do? And I'm waiting for him to be like, or worse, he's like, shh, don't fight it, don't fight it. So I'm holding my asshole so tight at this point, my eyeballs are tight, and I can start seeing spots and shit. Like, oh my God, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? But then all of a sudden he grabs my leg and he puts it up on his leg, right? And he starts doing some shit no one's ever done. He's like turning and twisting my leg and shit like that. And so my leg's up in the air and he's twisting it and bending it and stretching it. And it felt awesome. It's like I've never had someone like lift my leg and stretch it in different ways and massage it at the same time, right? But then all of a sudden I get distracted because, you know, when you go to the store and you buy a little 50 cent a ball from the little bending gumball machine, but it's those little sticky hands, right? You know, little sticky hands that slap and but if you let them go, they like slowly roll, right? And they stick and roll and stick and roll. My balls were stuck to my leg, right? So he lifts my leg up, I can feel my balls rolling down my leg. And I'm thinking this, I started thinking about the sticky hand and shit, and I'm starting to giggle to myself a little bit. But I'm watching, I'm thinking this motherfucker's watching, like, what kind of freak show is this? And he finally puts my leg down, and I'm like, thank goodness. But then he lifts my other leg up, and now because he lifts the other leg up, and my balls fell on top of my dick, now my dick and balls are both rolling down the other leg and shit. And I'm thinking this dude's just like, holy shit. That's some talent shit right there. I don't know what he's thinking, right? I'm trying to relax, but I'm giggling to myself. I'm freaked out, right? And he finally lets it go, and I'm like, thank goodness it's over. I can relax now. He shuts my legs. He jumps off the table, shuts my legs. And I'm thinking he's just going to work some more on my feet or something like that. I totally forget. He goes, turn over. I was like, oh, shit. Because I forgot, like, I had no pants on. Usually I have my boxers on. I turn over on my back, and they start working on my body. But I have my boxers off, and now I've been like tightening my asshole so much, and my eyeballs, my wiener's been being sucked in on my body, right? And not to mention, I know I have to turn around, so my shit just starts shrinking. You know, you feel it shrink, right? And I've been traveling a bunch, so I haven't fucking done any grooming at all. So I got like, I have like a bush like out to here, so I can just feel my dickhead like running in my bush. And I'm thinking my head's just sticking out like the fucking bush. And I'm thinking this dude's just like, You ever see Cape Fear with Robert De Niro in the front of the fucking movie theater? He's like smoking a cigar. He's like, Anyway, I'm thinking this dude's like laughing and judging me. And I'm like, oh, this fucker's gonna judge me and shit, this isn't. And I'm trying to relax, but I'm thinking he's staring at my little prick and shit. And then I'm like, why would he be staring at it? And then all of a sudden he does something, and I fucking totally forget about everything. He comes up, he starts rubbing my head. I've had this happen where they rub your temples, and they rub your face, and they massage your jaw, they maybe massage your ears, but he starts rubbing on my earlobes, right? I'm like, oh shit. But then he does something no one's ever done. He fucking rubs my earlobes, and he starts finger fucking my ear holes, right? He's like, got him inside, he's got the finger in there. No lie, guys, when you get home, try that shit on your significant other. I swear, he's pulling on my earlobe, and he's finger fucking my ears, and I'm like, oh shit. So much so the opposite started happening. I was like, I'm gonna get a hard on and shit. Because it felt so good. I was like, oh shit, It felt so good. Try it, I'll tell you. So he started doing that. No one's ever done it. I was like, oh. And he stops doing that, and he starts rubbing my neck, you know, and they go under your back. And he starts rubbing my hands and stuff, and my legs a little bit. And he gets to my feet, my favorite, right? And he starts fucking knuckling my arch, punching my heel, and then they start finger fucking in between your toes. And they're bending back, and I'm like, oh shit, oh yeah. I love my feet being done, right? So he's doing that, and I'm starting relaxing and shit, because he did this, my ears, my feet, and then all of a sudden he whips open my legs again. I'm like, oh shit. And I swear it was like slow-mo, my balls and dick were here, and they were like, my balls started to flow, right? You know the side of your apartment or house when you're doing the laundry in the dryers, like, and you can smell the fabric softener coming out the vent and shit, the heat, and it's like, no lie, my balls and someone will fall over my asshole, and I tighten up, and it's like, and it's like, and I start thinking about the vent, so I'm starting to laugh, and I'm like, I hope it smells like fabric softener. And I'm waiting for this motherfucker to be like, that's it, you pig, out, right? And I have my eyes closed and I don't hear any movement and shit, but then I feel him move up and he gets on the table and I'm like, oh no. He's climbing right into my fabric softener ass, right? Hopefully. And then I peek up for a minute to see if he's looking at me like, fuck you. But he's not, right? He gets in there, but then I'm like, what's he gonna do now? And I'm waiting for him to start jerking it off or something. And he doesn't. He fucking grabs my leg and he starts doing this again. And he's like massaging and moving my leg and shit. And it feels good. It's so weird. Again, I've never had anyone do that. And then all of a sudden he gets to one leg, he does the other leg, and then he puts my leg down. I'm like, he must be done. And then all of a sudden I feel a rustle, and all of a sudden I pick up again and he's sitting on his ass. I'm like, well, what's he gonna do now? I'm waiting for him to like grab me and pull me close, and we're gonna have a scissor fight or something. But no, he does this, he grabs my leg, he opens it, and he puts his heel right in my groin right here, right? And I can feel the heel of his foot right on my balls, and I'm like, please don't press down. Please don't press down, right? You're gonna crush it. And then he does something I didn't expect. He reaches for my 3-piece set, and he grabs it, and he puts it in his hand. And I'm like, he's touching my balls and dick. And I'm like, 5, 4, 3, and he drops it. I was like, 5-second rule, it's good, I guess, right? Pulling on my leg and he's pulling it out of the socket and stretching it. And again, it feels awesome. And I'm like torn between it feeling good, but him touching my dick and balls. So weird. And I'm like, well, he had to do that. How else could he move it? I'm like, the only other way he could have moved it is him taking his foot and moving my dick and balls with his foot. And that would be, how weird would that be if his toes are touching my dick and balls? And he got worse, like, what if my dick got caught between his big toe and the hook? Was my helmet? And he's like, sorry, excuse me, sorry. So like he had to do it, right? But it's weird. And he's done doing that and he lets go and then he grabs my other foot, he puts his heel on the other side and his balls are doing it. And I don't know, I guess because I knew like he's gonna have to do it again. I knew he was gonna touch him, and this time I felt like he had him in his hand forever. I was like, ooh. I felt like he was staring at him and moving him. It was just as quick, but it felt like forever, and I was like, let him go, let him go. And he finally digs in and he starts grinding on it and shit. It feels so good, but I'm weirded out and he touched my dick and balls. He lets go of my foot finally, and he somehow gets to his knees in like a fucking ninja movie. He's like on his knees. And then finally there's like a pause, and I'm like, what's he doing? So I peek open my eyes and shit, and I'm seeing spots because I've been holding them tight for so long. And I'm like, I hope he's not looking at me, but he is. He's like this, right? And I open my eyes a little bit at this point, so I'm like, I have to look at him. And he looks at me, and he puts his hand under my balls, no lie, and goes, do you want to come? And I'm like, and then I go like this, like I start rubbing my eyes. I'm thinking like for some reason my eyes and my ears are connected and they're all foggy because I'm like, I did not just hear that. He said, do you want to come? There's no way, right? And he made sure the second time he does it again, he goes, do you want to come? And I'm like, no, bro, I'm just coming good, right? And he fucking jumps up and leaves, and I'm like, you motherfucker! You bastard! And I curl up in a ball, and I feel all dirty and shit. And he just bounced my balls and asked me if I wanted to come. I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? And I started thinking about, like, what do I do? And I was like, well, I better get dressed, right? And as I'm getting dressed, I'm like, fuck, I gotta face this guy when I go outside. It's gonna be so awkward, right? And then I start getting the curiosity starts getting the better of me. I'm like, well, maybe I should ask him. I'm curious. If I said yes, what does he do? Does he fucking suck it? Does he jerk it off? Does he sit on it? Like, he didn't mention, like, do you want to come? I'll jerk you off. So I don't know, and I'm like getting curious, but I'm like, when I go outside, if I ask him that, that's gonna open the door for something crazy. So I think about it. Do I ask him? And I come outside and he's like, this is gonna be awkward, but he's not. He has a cup here, he goes, drink a lot of water, man. I was like, that's fine. He goes, I have this card. He goes, I punched one hole in it. If you get 9 more punch holes, you get a free massage. And I was like, oh, thanks. So badly, I wanted to go, do I get to come for free? But I didn't. I was just like, thank you, sir, thanks. And I left, and I was like, holy fuck, that was crazy. I called my wife immediately, right? Babe, guess what? She's like, you got a massage. I know. I was like, no, you'll never guess this dude. And I don't go through every single step, but I'm like, he pulled my underpants off, so I was butt naked. She's like, wait, what? Why? And I was like, I don't know, but it was fucking crazy. And then he said, he grabbed my balls and my dick and he bounced them. She's like, what? And then he says, do you want to come? She goes, wait, are you sure he said, do you want to come? And I said, I'm telling you, he said, do you want to come? And she goes, I bet you let him do it, you fucking thing. I was like, I did it! Do you have a good time tonight, guys? Outside, when you leave, there's merchandise. Some of my merchandise is out there. I'm gonna hang out. If you buy a couple things, I can tag it with you. I will take a couple selfies. They have to be from a distance. We'll figure it out. If I get weird and I stay far from you, it's not because it's personal. I'm still scared of this whole thing called Sobin. But for real, I'll take pictures. I'll sign stuff. You guys are the best. Fucking thank you.